I am a school dropout. I was married at 17, was a mother at 22, and divorced at 24. But before the heartbreaks and the tears and the crushing feeling that, I went through at that point of time, I have to go back. I had to spin back to my younger days when it was just full of laughter and excitement. I'm one of 4 girls, Gopika, Ambika, Devika, and Renuka, known as the Car Sisters. So 3 of us, Achan and Amma, sent us to faraway Ooty to study. And of course, I went there with the Italian nuns and cold weather, and I thought I was just sent here to have a blast, to play and not to study. And the fact is, I didn't study because I found it really difficult. And I didn't know what it was. People couldn't call me stupid because I am anything but stupid. But even the teachers and the nuns were like shocked, like, what is happening? Because she is really smart when you speak to her. You get her to write something, all her answer papers are a mess. Her spellings are ridiculous, her math was just horrendous, and nobody knew what the problem was. I mean, I just thought, this is not something I have to do in my life, And because no kid fails in the 2nd standard, but I did. And because they were building a new library wing and Achan donated towards it, I got promoted. And that's the only reason why I went on in my school from one class to another. But then my parents decided, so they called me back from Ooty, back to Kerala, and I studied in Kollam. That's where I'm from. And when you have to vote for the head girl, I was voted for the head girl, but never given the post because, very bad at studies. Yeah. So anyway, I think I'd gone into my 10th standard, and Achan, my father, called me and said, do you want to get married? So I said, huh? And he looked very serious. Yeah. He says, I'm asking you, I'm going to say this in Malayalam, Ninukku kalyanam kazhikkano, ninukku college pono. Without blinking an eyelid, I said, Acha, I want to get married. I don't want to go to college. I struggled right through school. Now you want me to go and study in college? No question. So I got married at 17. And I cannot tell you, never give your kids that option of choosing when they are 17, whether they want to get married or not. It's not the right choice. Or from any angle, that was not the right choice. It was a horrible 7 years, hence I got divorced. So I just walked out on the marriage. I said, this is not okay. And my father was devastated. My amma was heartbroken. In those days, divorce was unheard of. It was unheard of. And here I'm just sitting there saying, I'm just going to stay here with, I had a 2-year-old baby. And she was 1-year-old at that point of time. And I walked up to my dad and I said, Acha, do you think I can become a cashew exporter just like you? So he looked at me and he says, are you kidding me? No, because this is not meant for girls. And I'm like, what's meant for girls and boys? I mean, it's a business and I can also help you run it. You don't have a son. I could be the son that you never had. And he said, no, he put his foot down. And I am a Sagittarian. I've got wings on my feet. So you can't catch me and put me somewhere and say, stay there and do this and do that. That's not what I was born for. So anyway, so I opened the paper one day and there was a Shanaz Hussein's ad in the papers. And I looked at that and I said, okay, like this, I have no education. The thing is, I talked like this well, because I went to Ooty, and I'm not stupid like I told you. So anyway, I looked at the ad and I said, this is probably the only thing I can do without Achan getting super hectic and saying, oh no, you can't do this because you're a girl and stuff, because this is all about women learning how to do facials and waxing, and it's something that, you can come back and open a small little salon. I told my dad that. I said, Acha, I'm going to go to Delhi, learn this, come back and open a small little salon in Kollam. He was like, no, patatilla. Amma was like, maybe it's a good option. And my 2-year-old baby in my arms, I tucked 2,000 rupees into my back pocket and left for faraway Delhi. I chose Delhi because it was furthermost from Kerala. Yeah? In Kollam, everybody wanted to know, who is Ambika talking to? What is she doing? What is she wearing? And I couldn't live with that. So I went, and I never came back. And my father kept saying, Tirchu vairan samaya ille. And I was like, Acha, I'm just finishing my hair course. And then I realized that Shanaz's course that drew me to Delhi was not my calling. I hate waxing and doing facials. I'm not a beautician by, I'm not. So I decided to do a hair course, and I'm a trained hairdresser. And then I got my first pay. It paid me 2,000 rupees. And with 2,000 rupees, and I had my bike, which was a moped, not like a full-on bike, but a moped. I used to put like 100 rupees petrol in my bike, put little Kavi at the back of me. She used to hang on to me, and we used to zip across Delhi. Yeah? I used to take her to the spot where you can see the planes landing, and I used to say, "No, Kakuta, that's a plane landing," and she used to go like, and we used to just have the best time. Those were the best days of my life. I used to bring her back home. She used to curl into me, and I used to tell her stories about my Ooty days and how naughty I was, and she used to giggle and laugh and go to sleep. And I used to put my head on the pillow and sleep like an angel, like a baby. Now, that doesn't happen. Now, I'm constantly worried. I'm constantly harrowed. I'm constantly, thinking, what do I do next? I wish I could go back to those days. The 2,000 rupees did well in my life at that point of time. But anyway, from that point, I decided, not going back home, I'm going to stay in Delhi and continue working. And all I wanted was just to put a roof over Kavi's in my head, food in our bellies, and really proper clothes on our backs, and that's all I really wanted. I've been asked by the press so many times since, Ambika, did you always want to be this high-powered businesswoman? And I look at them and I say, you're kidding? All I wanted was to be happily married. Can you imagine? Happily married was all I ever wanted. To have 4 kids, 4 girls, and, a husband who said, I love you at least 2 times a day, 2 dogs, 2 homes, one up in the hills and one next to the sea. This was my dream. But God decided, listen, Ambika, I'm not going to give you all that. I'll give you 1 daughter, and I'll give you a gift in your hands. And I didn't even realize I had a gift in my hands, because when I finally decided to open my own salon, I used to, wait for a client. The client used to call and say, I need a haircut appointment. Okay, let me check my schedule. My schedule is empty, all right? And then I'll check my schedule, and then she'll say, okay, listen, Wednesday at 5. I'm like, all right, okay, come in at 5:30 because I might be a little busy and all that. All full natak happened, and these 2 clients came to me. She went and told 10 of her friends, and then word of mouth just spread. In 6 months, I was doing 30 haircuts a day, absolutely no makeup, because remember, I'm not a trained makeup artist. So I was doing 30 haircuts a day. If you wanted an appointment with me, you had to book 3 months in advance. So I started becoming a household name in Delhi. And I was cutting hair, just totally enjoying myself, and my thumb just collapsed. I mean, I had to take steroid shots, and finally, of course, the Ayurvedic massages, the only thing, the Kerala Ayurvedic massage, the only thing that helped me. But the doctor said, no more cutting hair. I looked at the doctor and I said, what are you saying? I mean, this is my bread and butter, you know. So he says, no, you can't cut hair. So I put down my scissors and picked up my makeup brush. And of course, the second assignment I did, Hemant Trivedi, a very big designer and choreographer in Bombay, looked at me and said, you're a great hairdresser, but do you know how to do makeup? And then me and my bold self said, of course I know how to do makeup. So he said, good, do this face, you know. And the second face I did, I won the National Award for Best Makeup Artist. And it was just ridiculous because I didn't know how to do that work. But also it was Aishwarya Rai's face that I did. And she is beautiful. She is stunning. But all I ever thought in my head is, how can I make this girl look even more stunning? And that is exactly how I work today as well. You know, when somebody walks in, I look at her and she says, Ambika, please make me look beautiful. That is what I aim for, to make her look super stunning. But after that award that I won, there has been no looking back since. Every girl who sat on my chair said, please make me look like Aishwarya Rai. And I'm like, no, I shall make you look like yourself, but way more beautiful. But really, so people started pouring in. You know, I used to do one bride in 6 months, and overnight, we started doing 150 brides a day from each salon of mine. So can you imagine what publicity and all that can do to you? So we were just like, I was flying high. I was riding the big wave. What I didn't realize was I'd stopped looking. I didn't ever look at my finances. I mean, my finance was left to my best friend, and he was looking at whatever, counting the money, and I never used to look that side because I was this creative soul. So eventually it was Kavi, little Kavi from 2 years old, grew up and she had to go to college. And I had, you know, I was like, okay, fine, let me get all my finances together and everything else. And I found out that my best friend was stealing from me. But you know what? That was a major hit for me. I hit a rock bottom. That's when I realized two things. You know, when you're 28 years old in my community, your father picks you up. He's sitting down on the ground. He picks you up, covers one ear and whispers your name into one ear, and then covers the other ear and whispers it into the other ear. And my mother says my name out loud for the first time, Ambika, and receives me from my dad. That is how we name back home, yeah? And that is one thing that you can never take away from me. My name, I am Ambika Pillai. The second thing is this God's gift that I have in my hand. So my partners and my whoever it is who's stabbing me in the back and taking me for a ride can take anything they want. They cannot take these two things away from me. So from that hitting the ground, struggled all the way to the top with these two things, the gift and my name, and still made it to the top yet again. You know, the thing is, I can say I made it to the top because I have won every single award there is to win in my profession in India. I've won awards that are not even in my profession. You know, I've made it to the power list of Femina. That means I'm one of the 20 most powerful women in India. I have no idea for what reason. Probably being powerful for believing in herself. But whatever the reason is, there are lots of awards that have come my way. And I don't work to win awards. I appreciate it when it happens to me. You know, through this whole thing, and through all my partners taking me for a ride, and all my accountants taking me for a ride, and just stealing money blindly from underneath me, I still did not look into my accounts. Because remember, by the time I write a 6, it becomes a 9. By the time I write a 7, it becomes a 4. I am dyslexic. And I found that out only when Kavi was in the 3rd standard. You know, when her teacher called me up and said, please come to school. And I went to school and they said, your daughter is dyslexic. And I'm like, oh my God. That's when I knew why I struggled through school. I struggled because of dyslexia. But I'm also who I am and what I am because of my dyslexia. I look in mirror images and I work and it works out fine for me. So I used to come back home after a tedious work day and make these scrubs and all these things, you know, and give it to my stars and give it to all these. And when I say stars, every single Bollywood actress I sat on my chair before they became these stars because they were all models first. People ask me, ma'am, whose face have you done? Ask me whose face I haven't done in Bollywood. Everybody. But anyway, so I used to make all these products and give it to people. So now it's my time to step back from what I've been doing for 34 years, more than 3 decades. I cannot see myself cutting hair and doing makeup way into the future. I'm getting too old for that. It's manual labor. So I want to step back and probably do exactly what I want to do. Because I do want to write a book. I want to travel the world. I mean, I've been traveling on work where people pay for my ticket, they pay for my hotel rooms, they pay for my food. I want to travel on my own strength. How I want to go and stay in homestays. I want to go and do so many things. And I can only do that if I retire. You know, I have to tell you that I was a fighter, I am a fighter, and I'll always be a fighter to stand up for my rights. Nobody can take that away from me, to be who I am and to live my life the way I want to. Thank you so much.